Day 656 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again. Another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 1790. Check if one string swap can make strings equal. The difficulty level is easy, so you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. You are given two strings S1 and S2 of equal length. A string swap is an operation where you can choose two indices in a string, not necessarily different, and swap the characters at these indices. Return true if it is possible to make both strings equal by performing at most one string swap on exactly one of the strings, otherwise return false. All right, y'all, so that sounds simple enough, but let's go ahead and take a look at these examples anyway, just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So, in example 1, our input S1 equals the string bank, S2 equals the string KANB or camp. The output is true. Explanation says, for example, swap the first characters with the last characters of S2 to make bank. So, let's break this down one step further, right? We want to return true if it is possible to make both strings equal by performing at most one string swap on exactly one of the strings, right? So right now we're looking at this right here. We're going to make at most one swap. So we can only make one swap. So we're going to swap this, or we're going to swap this with this. That's the only swap. But after we make that swap, boom, hold on. So let's bring it over here, but I'm sure y'all already know what it's going to spell. So boom, once we make this swap, this becomes a K and this becomes a B. Oh yeah, look at that. It says bank, just like S1. And now they are equal. Or yeah, now both strings are equal. And all we did was perform one swap. So we return true. Boom. Now, just in case that didn't make sense, let's take a look at example 2. So in example 2, our input S1 equals a string attack. S2 equals a string defend. The output is false. It says it is impossible to make them equal with one string swap. So in this case, we have two completely different words. They don't even contain the same characters at all. So we definitely cannot change this word or make this word equal to this word by only making one swap. So we just return false. Now let's take a look at example 2 where we don't have to make any swaps, but we still return true. Because remember, it says at most one string swaps, meaning we don't have to make any, right? 0 is still good. So let's look at example 3. In example 3, input S1 equals string kelp, S2 equals a string kelp. The output is true. Explanation says the two strings are already equal, so no string swap operation is required. All right, y'all. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. And now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Solution is not that difficult at all. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert both strings into character arrays, which will give us big O of 1 indexed access. So we're going to declare a variable called str1, set that equal to an array. Sorry, y'all, array. Open up the parentheses and pass in S1. Then we're going to do the same for S2. So we're going to declare a variable called str2, set that equal to an array, open up the parentheses, pass in S2. Now we need a variable to track how many positions differ between the two strings. So we'll come underneath this and create a variable called unequal count, and we'll set that equal to 0 to start. Boom. Now we're going to store the characters from the first mismatch, and they can help us validate whether a swap can fix the differences. So we're going to declare a variable called S1 char, and we're going to set that equal to a character. Open up the parentheses, and we're just going to pass in, open up the quotation marks. We could just pass in, yeah, that's right. Boom, a little dash. Then we're going to do the same thing for S2. So we're going to come through here and we're going to declare a variable called S2 char, set that equal to a character, open up the parentheses, quotation marks, put the dash, and boom, let's keep going. Now it's time to iterate through each character index. So we're going to come underneath this and we're going to say for I in 0 dot less than str1 dot count. we're going to open up the brackets, and if more than two mismatches exist, we can now fix it with one swap. Because remember, we're only allowed at most one swap. So if it's going to take two, we already know that we could return false. So we're going to say if if unequal count is greater than 2, then we could just open up the brackets and we could return false right away. Now, if the characters at this index are different, so we come right here. So if str1 square bracket I is different or does not equal str2 square bracket I, then we can open up the brackets, and if this is the second mismatch, we can check whether swapping will make the strings equal. That means the first mismatch char from S1 should match the current char in S2, and the first mismatch char in S2 should match the current char in S1. And when I say char, I mean character. So boom, we're going to say if unequal count equals 1, we'll open up the brackets. We'll say if S1 char does not equal str2 square bracket I, then or not yet, but or two vertical lines, S2 char does not equal str1 square bracket I, then we can come right here outside of that square bracket, open up the brackets, and we can return false, y'all, just like that. Boom. Then we need to increment the mismatch counter. So we're going to come right here, and we're going to say unequal count, increment that by saying plus equals 1. Then we're going to store the mismatch characters. So we're going to come underneath this. We're going to say S1 char equals str1 square bracket I. Then we're going to come underneath this, and we should say S2 char equals str2 square bracket I. Square bracket I. Boom. And now we need to check the valid cases. 1, no mismatches, strings already equal, or exactly 2 mismatches, mean one swap can fit in. So we'll just come right here, say return unequal count equals 0, or two vertical lines unequal count equals 2. Boom, y'all. Let's give this a run. Make sure it runs properly. It's accepted, so let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Let's see. And look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So, with that being said, make sure you get one more look at the code. This is the top part. This is the bottom part. And yeah, y'all, with that being said, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.